Hey everyone, it is Ben. I am here with a GE front-load washing machine. I want to say this is a GFW 650, but this video is going to work for all of the new GE front loads that have the vent fresh system in them or the Ultrafresh system in them. And we've been getting a lot of comments where people aren't able to turn their GE washing machines on. I'm going to show you in this video how to go through everything with the interface system on how to diagnose and prove that the interface is bad, the board's bad, or maybe it's something really simple that we just can't figure out without taking it apart. So join me with some tools and we are going to get this figured out.
Tools that you're going to need in the video are as follows: a Phillips head screwdriver and a multimeter with specialty thin leads. These thin leads are going to allow you to check specific places on the board. I'm going to have a link to a few places that you can get them from that will be in the description. Every fix we have for this is going to require tools, except for this one. Is the machine plugged in and getting power? Make sure to test the outlet with another item to ensure that it is actually on and receiving voltage to the control board. Next, the first thing we want to do is remove the detergent dispenser. To do that, pull it out as far as it can go forward without pulling it too hard. Then press the button at the rear of the dispenser and then pull it again to fully remove it. Afterwards, use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 5 screws from the housing that were hidden behind the dispenser we just took out. Note the style of screw, as the ones in the middle are different from those at the top and bottom on both sides. Once the screws have been removed, you can lift up on the left side of the interface panel where the screws were removed. Sometimes this can be a little difficult, but the key is that the interface will pivot up on the side about 20 degrees. Then you can push it to the right and then pull away. Know that the board will be somewhat held in place by a wire harness and cable ties, so there is a limited range of motion on this board at this point. Next, you want to remove the 3 screws that hold the lid or the top of the washer in place as you see here with a Phillips head screwdriver. Once you have all 3 screws removed, you'll want to pull the washer top towards you and then lift up, removing the lid of the machine, exposing many components. If you wanted to get more room to maneuver the interface, these 3 wire harness clips would need pressed from the inside out and may be optional to what you're doing. Next, we want to see if the control board is operating or not, if it's the board that's bad or the interface. There are 3 screws on the top of the main board, 1 on the plastic, then 2 on the metal cover. Once you have the screws from the metal cover removed, you can move the top of the cover by sliding it towards the front. Then there will be 1 final screw underneath. To give yourself more room to access the board, you can move the wire trunks away from the board on the various harnesses. This could help assist you viewing and testing the board in just a minute. With the machine powered on, the main control board should have 2 lights that are flashing, one near the Wi-Fi segment and another in the middle. These are called heartbeat, and if the unit is not powered from the wall or the board is shot, this main control board will not be flashing, and the problem would not be the interface. It's going to be the control board or the wiring going to the wall. To test the power coming into the washing machine, use a multimeter and set it to AC voltage. Then, using the thin leads that we showed at the start, press them into the J101 connector at the white and black wires. This is the wire that inputs power from your wall to the control board itself. If you do not get 120 volts AC during this test, the wires could be unplugged, damaged, or the outlet or breaker could be bad. The board and interface may not be the problem, and you need to diagnose from the wire to the wall. However, if you do get 120 volts AC to the board and neither light is flashing that you see on the camera, then the main control board is bad and is what needs replaced. I will have links to the board in the description, and as a note, there are 2 or 3 versions of this main control board depending on the model of your GE front-load washing machine. I will have that information in the description. One other thing to note here, if you think it's the board, there are rare instances that I'm hearing from techs that the polarity on the AC plug is reversed from the factory. This is not something I checked in the video, but as a bonus step, you could utilize a non-contact AC voltage pin like the one that just popped up on the screen. If you use the voltage pin on the neutral or ground wire and it flashes indicating voltage, then the polarity is the culprit, and that may have knocked the board out, and you'll need to replace the power cord as well as the board to solve this problem. Like the main board though, the interface has a heartbeat LED as well. If this is flashing, the board is getting sufficient power. If it is not flashing, then something is damaged or the power wires are not firmly connected from the control board into the interface board. If you are not seeing the lights on the board, you can set your multimeter here to DC voltage and press the very small leads into the black and red wires of the interface board, which are considered pins 5 and 4. We are getting 13.8 volts DC, which is the correct voltage for this board to operate properly. As you saw at the start of the video, the GE washing machine we're using here specifically works just fine, and I'm getting the green flashlight on this board too, so you can kind of see if you are not getting these numbers, how it could be bad. If you're not getting the 13.8 volts DC during the test here, either the main board or the wire trunk to the interface has a problem. A wire could be loose or damaged. We can do the identical test on the main control board and see if the main control board is attempting to output the 13.8 volts. Wire harness J615 is the harness that powers and controls the interface. We need to press the leads of the multimeter into the board using DC voltage on the multimeter into the red and black wires just like we did a moment ago. You will press them into pins number 8 and number 4, and they're separated a little bit on this style board without any wires in between. Like you see in the video, we're also getting 13.8 volts DC here. If you did not get 13.8 volts DC here, the main board is bad. If you got 13.8 volts here, but not at the interface, the wiring is bad, damaged, or unplugged. If you get the green flash on the board, or you confirm that the board was at least getting the 13.8 volts DC, but it still will not turn on at this point, the interface is bad and needs replaced. Let me show you how to remove the board, reprogram, and install a new one, although again this unit is in working shape. At this point you want to unplug the machine temporarily and wait about a minute. Then plug the machine back in and let it boot up. Do not touch anything to power on the system even though it's not working. But when you get to the interface replacement, this is what you're going to get when you buy one. You get a new board, an installation manual, a service card to download the info to your phone, an Ethernet cable, and then a SUM installer to program new software into the machine when you install the board. First, we want to do the software. You need to access the RJ45 port of the machine located here inside the dispenser. It's a rubberized silicone area, and for ease, I used a screwdriver to open up and remove it. Then take the RJ45 Ethernet cable from the bag and ready it along with the SUM device. Then you're going to install the Ethernet cable first to the RJ45 port like you see here, then plug the other end of the Ethernet into the SUM device. This is the exact set of steps that GE suggests and what should be in your installation manual. And as soon as you make the connection from the SUM device to the Ethernet port on the interface, you'll see the light flash on the SUM device, and you may hear the washing machine boot up at the control board. Again, everything on the machine is plugged in and no buttons have been pressed. You'll notice where my hand is, the power and light buttons will start flashing along with the two lights on the SUM device. The orange light should stay on while the green light flashes. This means it's installing the new software to prep for the new interface. Now, if the interface board is shot, maybe this part doesn't work, but this is what GE tells you to do. The installation process is going to take 10 minutes, so be very patient. Eventually, it's going to end, and you'll see the green and orange lights run solid on the SUM device. Now, if they both flash the green and orange, that means the software was not installed right, and you need to unplug and restart this whole process again. It may take multiple times, and if it doesn't work, it's possible that the main board is bad and needs replaced too, but in this case it was okay, so I just have to go forward with the installation of the new interface. We're going to go back and unplug the washing machine for like the 10th time in this video. It's your option now, but you can either press the push mount cable tie in and remove the entire interface, or just leave it on the machine to do this installation. Either will work, and depending on what you want to do, it's up to you. I decided to remove the interface board from the machine on the front, but that's just me because I'm special. First, you want to use a flat-bladed screwdriver to press in and remove the Ethernet port that we just used to install the software. It's going to press into a little clip, and then you're going to roll it out front to back. Then you want to identify the screws that need to be removed. There's one on the start-stop button, 3 on the dial knob board, and then 2 on the options board. Go ahead and start removing all these screws, and when they've been removed, you're going to need to remove the 2 boards from the clip, as the one on the left was very easy. There are 4 small clear plastic clips that hold this into place, plus 3 small tabs that need to be pressed away from the board. You'll have to slowly work each of these tabs out while possibly providing some back pressure to push the board out. Otherwise, the clips will just reseat and you have to keep working on the process over and over again. A screwdriver or a dental pick may help you here provide that pressure from the front to the rear of the board. On this next segment of the interface, make sure that the screws are removed and the wire harness from the board is removed as well. To remove this segment, there are 4 gray tabs, one on each corner of the board. The small fingers on the inside of this board don't need pressed in and removed because this entire assembly will come out in one piece. Once you have the 4 tabs that have been pressed in, you should be able to remove the board like you see here, somewhat similarly to the other board we just took out. Once we have everything out, you have the new interface here. Note that there are 3 segments that need attached to the interface individually. The one that is the most difficult is the middle one that has the dial. The PCB versus the plastic interface, as it needs oriented differently. There's a flat segment on the inside of the plastic housing where the dial is, as well as the board, and you have to line them up by rotating the knob before you install them together. Once you have them lined up, you can begin to mount the PCB. The right side went in real easily with the 4 plastic fingers, holding that rightmost board into place for the options. For the middle segment, again note the orientation of the dial and the PCB. Once aligned, slowly navigate the board into place and lock it in. This one took me the most time out of anything installing the interface. There is a clip on the top that you have to kind of route in, and then the stem for the dial will insert into the knob. It takes a few moments, but make sure it seats in properly. Then once you have that middle PCB locked into place, you're going to install the PCB to the start, stop, pause area. The plastic piece here is going to go on top of the PCB to kind of lock it into place. There's a slot on the top of the board that it mounts to. Once you have all 3 boards installed, go ahead and go through and install the 6 screws to the interface. I used a drill to extract them, but I prefer a screwdriver to install them because these screws are rather small and you want to be more gentle with the plastic housing as needed. With the PCB done, go ahead and begin to reattach the interface to the washer by installing the push mount cable tied to the unit, the RJ45 connector. Make sure you put the push mount on correctly. This is actually installed upside down. You may want to fix that off a camera for you. Then install the interface harness to the PCB and you're essentially ready for testing. Once you have the interface installed, you should be able to just plug it in, press power, and let it run to confirm that everything works before installing anything else. The one thing I would key in on is that dial. Make sure it's rotating and the right segments light up and flash properly. Everything was done the first time right on this, but it was a little bit hairy to make sure it was installed correctly. This is a brand new board I installed on the washer despite the fact that the old interface worked, so I'm not saying my install was perfect, but it absolutely worked, and I hope this video helps solve your problems. Remember that when it comes to the interface, I'm going to have a link for the main control board and the interfaces as they are different, but let's go ahead and finish the video out now by putting the unit back together. Reinstall the top lid of the washing machine, then the interface to the bulkhead. Note that the interface will attach on the right side of the control system, first onto a larger screw, then it's going to pivot down on the left side into place and then lock in. I do have other videos of reinstallation on my channel from different angles that I think are better than I did in this one, but they're different collar GEs. This is the 3rd GE front load washer I've worked on in a different collar for all the problems the machine has. Then install the 5 screws to the dispenser housing and the interface. Note that the 2 screws in the middle are more of a coarse thread than the 3 outlying ones. The dispenser box may need to be held in towards the front while you install the 2 middle ones. Then the 3 outer ones secure the interface to the washer bulkhead for reference. Then reinstall the dispenser box and this job should be done. You should have a new damper system or a main board depending on what's happened.